I'd like to call the regularly scheduled meeting for the Village of Tinley Park Plan Commission to order. At this time, let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we'll move on to roll call. Jason, could you please take the roll call?
Commissioner Gatto. Commissioner Hamilton.
Here.
Commissioner Manny. Commissioner Merrick.
Here.
Commissioner Sepisi.
Yes, here.
Commissioner Stocklose.
Here.
Commissioner West.
Here.
Chairman Gray.
Present. Okay,
We have a quorum.
quorum is present. We'll move on to the next item, communication. Staff, are there any communications?
Not at this moment, no.
Okay, excellent. Move on to the approval of the meeting minutes. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of the December 7th, 2023 Plan Commission meeting?
Motion? Second.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Sepsi, second by Commissioner Stocklose. All those in favor of approving the December 7th, 2023 minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Okay, the motion is carried. We're going to move on to item 1 on tonight's agenda. Item 1 is a public hearing to consider recommending that the village board grant Ed Ebed on behalf of Nova Cafe, the tenant, a special use for a substantial deviation of the 7-Eleven/Starbucks planned unit development, with exceptions, PUD, to the village ordinance, a variation from section 7.c.1.a of the zoning ordinance, and a map amendment to rezone the property from the B4 Office and Service Business zoning district to the B1 Neighborhood Shopping zoning district, located at 7231 171st Street, Tinley Park. The petitioner is seeking to add the subject property into the existing PUD for a drive-through restaurant use. Site plan and architectural approval is also being considered. At this time, though, the petitioner requested a continuation to the February 1st, 2024 Plan Commission meeting as they continue to work through coordinating the submittal. So at this time, may I entertain a motion to continue the public hearing to February 1st, 2024?
This is Commissioner West. I make a motion to continue the public hearing for item number 1, as noted on the January 4th, 2024 agenda, until the February 1st, 2024 Plan Commission meeting, as requested by the petitioner.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner West, seconded by Commissioner Sepisi. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Okay, the motion is carried. The continuation of item 1 to the February 1st, 2024 Plan Commission meeting is granted. We'll move on to item 2 of tonight's agenda. Item 2 is a public hearing to consider recommending that the village board grant Shahab and Fariha Mekri a variation from section 5.c.4.b of the Tinley Park zoning ordinance to reduce the amount of required face brick on the first story of an exterior wall for a single-family detached dwelling at 5 Messina Court in the R2 PD Single Family Residential Odyssey Club PUD zoning district. May I have a motion to open the public hearing?
Motion?
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Sepisi, seconded by Commissioner Stocklose. All those in favor of opening the public hearing say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Okay, the motion is carried. I have received certification of publication of the public hearing notice being published in a local newspaper. Anyone wishing to speak on this matter will be sworn in before they speak, but after the staff's presentation. So at this time, staff, if you could please proceed.
Sure. So just some general background information on the location of the property. It's an interior lot in the Odyssey Club subdivision, as seen on the map here, off Messina Court, off of Odyssey Drive. It backs up to the Odyssey Golf Club to the west. All of the zoning in the surrounding area is R2 PUD. Even the golf course So it is, this section, as you can see by the surrounding land uses, is for single-family detached homes. All of the lots range from about a third of an acre up to an acre or so. This lot is, at the moment, surrounded by 2 other vacants, but there are some houses to the north and south currently. So moving forward with the actual recommendation. There's a recommendation to reduce the amount of face brick on the first story of a single-family detached residential home. Our current requirement states that 100% of the first story of any single-family detached home must be face brick or decorative stone. To kind of go through the process of what's going on and why we're here, the petitioner is requesting a variance. In April 2022, the petitioner submitted building plans to build this house on this site. The image in the top shows a 4-foot brick going all the way around the building, and then had it's called Drive It, which is stucco-like material, and some composite panels also going up. There's a lot of layers on here. It's a more modern style house, but this is actually a ranch house. So it is a single-story house. It's not 2 stories. So it's just very tall, but it is all a single story. So in April 2002, they submitted plans with these elevations. They were denied because they didn't meet our standard in the code, which says all of it needs to be brick. That was given back to them as a denial. They came back in July of 2022 and showed the plans on the bottom of this screen, which show all brick, different types of brick, and masonry stones. And it's in your packet, but it does wrap all the way around the building. So every part of it, of the entire story, all the stories were brick or masonry material. So these plans were approved. They were stamped. As part of the petitioner's request, they took upon themselves to be their own general contractor. It's something we allow in the village. They signed an affidavit saying they are the general contractor. They understand the responsibilities that go along with signing that information that they're responsible for building. They listed all their subcontractors on the permit application. They filled out everything correctly. It was just that resubmittal that they needed to get the plans right and approved. So they were approved in July of 2022. Moving forward, obviously the house has been being built this year. There have been, additional, footings inspections. As houses are built, different inspections are done throughout. There was different types of inspections done. In June of 2023, flashing inspection was done. So prior to any exterior materials brought up, the building code official and our inspectors always check to make sure the flashing and everything behind the exterior material is going to be okay. At that time, they were checking out how the brick was being attached to the wall. They had a couple rows up on the bottom. Passed that inspection, they moved on. Come October of this year, we got a call from a neighboring developer who wanted to do a neighboring lot and said, hey, can I do stucco like they did on the house next door? And that kind of raised a red flag for us. We kind of looked into it. We sent our zoning administrator and our building code official out there. They took a look and saw the stucco, the original plans that were denied in April were actually installed. So we called the petitioner in, tell them they had to remove it. They have to do what was approved on the plans. They built something, they had plans, they were approved. You have to build to exactly what you do. You can't add a bedroom. You can't change the exterior plans without resubmitting something new, getting it reviewed, and we have to make sure it meets code. So as much as it seems like an aesthetic point, it's actually a code requirement to have that masonry. So they are, that's right, I was going to switch to the pictures. Garrett has some actual better printed out photos he can pass around of what it looks like. The scanner didn't pick these up that well. But here's the front with the composite panels on top, the stucco up top, and the brick on the bottom 4 feet. So to not have to remove all the material that's been installed, they're requesting a variation from the code. So that is their request. I don't have a specific percentage that they're requesting. We're just discussing at this point. If we get to the point where we're drafting an ordinance, we'll have a specific number it's being reduced to. But at this time, I have Mike Holman here, who's our building code official. If you guys have any questions from a building code standpoint, inspection standpoint, and then also the petitioners here, if you also have questions for them. So,
Garrett, do you want these photos back?
Yes, please, I'm gonna share on this end as well. Let's see. Okay, well, thanks for the staff presentation. At this time, does the applicant have anything to add? If so, please stand up. I'll swear you in.
Just to make sure I see all.
And just state your name for the record.
Good evening. My name is Shahab Bakri.
Okay, let me swear you in then. And
Yes, sir.
is this your wife, sir?
Yes,
Yes.
Faria Makri.
Okay. So do you both swear or affirm that the evidence you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, please proceed.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Yep.
So let me start with saying we have lived in this Frankfurt and Tinley Park neighborhood for the last 40 years of our married life. We are very good tax-paying citizens. We have followed all the permit rules and regulations. We're trying to build our retirement dream home here. Being a first-time general contractor, I would say, unintentionally looked over a few things. So this is the only single-family ranch home that is being built in Odyssey after 20 years. We tried to follow all the rules and regulations through state homes. And our original plan was, like he stated, Jason stated, was that. But the confusion was that when we went to the state homes, if you looked on page 138, they had passed, when they were building that subdivision, that masonry should come logical point of termination, such as inside corner masonry drive with stone veneer and synthetic stucco must wrap the first floor perimeter completely. So the confusion was, after we did it, we looked at this and we started doing the stucco. Another thing happened was when the professional did come to look at our, the inspector did come to look at our brick to do a final inspection on that. He saw the 4 feet of brick. And then he did see the sill that went on top of the 4 feet of brick. Usually the sill goes on top of the brick, saying it's the termination point. But at that time, he did not notify us that we mislooked, that it should go all the way up to 8 feet either. So we continued, like I said, not intentionally, to the stucco, because we thought that being in Odyssey, we could do the stucco, because there are several homes in Odyssey where they have stucco on the first part of the floors, first and second floor also. That was the only, I would say, point where where we misunderstood maybe the Tinley Park and my husband's point. And we have finished this home now. This home is like almost at its finish. For us to take out the whole stucco and put brick up there, it's not possible by us right now. It's not going to be possible. Go ahead, you want to say something?
It's not the point of this. The thing is, the way the look of this home, why don't you show them the pictures there?
Well, they have the pictures. They have
Okay.
all the pictures here.
Okay. The way the look of this home is, no, you didn't have the front, the whole
Yes.
front. Okay, just wanted to show that, yeah. The way this home is literally one-of-a-kind home in the whole south side. I don't think anybody has built something like that, a contemporary home, that has different lines to it. The 8 feet of brick makes the look of that home completely different than what you see right now. We're just requesting the variance for,
For us to just finish this project the way it is right now. I mean, we truly apologize if it has caused inconvenience to the village, but we did not do, like I said, anything unintentional. And also, there are homes in Tinley Park where there is only 4 feet of brick. I mean, this is not going to be the only home that is going to be with the 4 feet of brick. There was a home that was just constructed in April of 2023 that has a 4 feet of brick also.
that required the variance, and the variance was,
And we
Agreed,
didn't
yeah.
know about that, but, one of our builders told us that this will not be the only home with the 4 feet of brick.
so we're just requesting if we get the variance to
Just to finish our project, that's
finish
it.
the project.
Otherwise, otherwise, I don't know if we'll be able to finish it. Thank you.
I'm going to go to our commissioners to see if they have any questions.
You-
Sir, if you want to stay, you and your wife, they may have some questions for you.
Okay, yes. Do you want to?
Yeah, wait, he has to finish with
Oh,
us
okay, I'm
first.
sorry.
So at this time, I'll go to Commissioner West with any comments for the petitioners.
I'm sorry, can we start at the other end? I want to,
Yeah, no worries, no worries.
that all right?
Commissioner Stockless.
When you applied for your permit that got approved, did it not state that first floor has to be totally brick?
It did.
So why did you
It's somehow-
deviate from the permit process?
Because then we got if you look at page 138,
Of
they
what?
told us of the Odyssey Club Estate Homes guidelines.
Covenants.
Unfortunately, homeowners associations do not, they have to follow Tinley Park rules.
This was given to the Tinley Park. When Odyssey was built, they told.
Odyssey does not know all the building codes in the village. They have their own guidelines, but they have to follow, anything that is built, and you can correct me if I'm wrong.
You're
ha-
absolutely correct,
Has to
Commissioner
follow
Stockless.
building codes. And the building code in Tinley Park states that the first story has to be wrapped in brick. And all the pictures that were supplied here showed every first story was brick. If you can go on to a couple of the pictures that were in the packet, all these examples of other places in Odyssey showed first story brick. Then the drive it or whatever, was above that on the second story.
No.
That's the thing. There are homes in the area.
If you look at the pictures, there are homes in the
I'm looking
same.
at all the we were supplied with 5 or 6 pictures, and each one of those, the only time that they deviated from the brick was on the second story in the valleys.
Not
No.
really. Maybe you're
And the pictures that we were
mislooking.
given, that's what.
There are homes, there are about 5 homes there, and plus one other home there. It's not a home that could be called as an office, I don't know. But that is a complete, the siding home. That's right when you enter the subdivision, the whole thing is all siding. We're not trying here to argue for anything.
No, Mr. McCree, I just want to get some clarification, because I think Commissioner Stockless brings up a salient point. As staff said in their report, and you signed an affidavit, you ran as a general contractor, okay? The first set of plans, you had the 4-foot wall that was actually built. So you had 2 sets of plans. The approved plan afterwards that you resubmitted after discussions and communication with the village staff, right? and that was an approved plan, but that wasn't built. So what happened between getting that stamped on those plans that were approved and then building? What weren't you, help me understand what you weren't clear on when they said you couldn't do a 4-foot wall. You get stamped plans, and instead of taking that first set and either pitching them in the garbage or whatnot, deleting them from the computer, the builder built that first set that was rejected. So how did that come about?
So what happened was, literally, I had no idea that the covenant is there in the Odyssey that has been given to the Tinley Park also. We looked at it, we should have submitted
Another set of plan
Another
after
plan.
we looked at this covenant,
after we looked at this covenant.
but we weren't sure that it's.
There was not a deliberate mistake, but we should have given that, another plan to resubmit it. That's where the confusion was.
Who is your builder, by the way?
I'm the builder.
You're the builder?
Yes, sir.
So is it a practice to
Yeah.
build plans that are not signed and approved?
No, it's not. We followed the whole thing. We followed to the teeth right now.
I don't think-
Except for this.
Yeah, well, that's the big thing, right?
I agree.
mean,
I agree.
It'd be different if it was like the trim around windows. You did everything except that, okay? But this is a big thing, right? And this is something you did come to in the beginning and had some back and forth with, I believe, Dan Ritter of the Tinley Park staff.
No. Dan Ritter only came in the picture after everything was done. We never met Dan
Well,
Ritter, we never talked to Dan Ritter.
Irrespective, you talked with somebody from Tinley Park,
Yes,
right? A village
after the fact.
official.
Yeah. Just a couple of months back.
No.
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 You
Let's
had
get
to
the
talk to
timeline.
somebody
Yeah.
to resubmit your plans after you found out that your original plans were rejected by the village. So you had to.
That was back in '22.
Right, and that's what we're talking about. That's the salient point. For example, if you had a child that said he did his homework, but he didn't do his homework, you wouldn't say, well, okay, you can go out and play, right? But here, it seems to me like there was 2 plans approved, not it seems, it was. There was a rejected plan in April 22, irrespective of who you talked, the village said, we reject that. Because of what the staff said in terms of the code. We're not saying it's not aesthetic. That's not the point here, as Jason mentioned earlier. I'm not saying it looks bad. I'm saying is it doesn't fit the code. And unfortunately, I don't think you can claim that you didn't know because you resubmitted in July and you signed an affidavit. So the thing, and you're the general contractor. Were you there every day? Or
Yeah,
every
but
other
a
day,
year
right?
and almost a year
Year passed.
a year passed when we started putting the stucco, and at that time, it did not click to us.
They did not click.
Well, I'm an engineer, and building plans have to be followed. Quantities have to be followed. You do quantities, you'll know how much tonnage of brick you need. This wouldn't be by oopsie daisy, a mistake. So it's either strategic or in terms of building, it wasn't in good faith. And I tend to believe the latter, just because there was a signed affidavit, and, and the ball gets rolling. The neighbors will always tell. So as soon as somebody calls in the office and says, can I do this too? And I'm not saying it's not modern, I'm not saying it's aesthetic. What I'm saying is, it doesn't follow the code requirements, and you were aware of them, because in July 2022, you resubmitted plans that were never used, but they were approved, right? True? You submitted those, and they were approved, but you did not use those plans. That's a true statement. And I don't see how, as their general contractor, now, if you subbed it out to a guy and he grabbed the wrong set, right? But when you have 2 sets, pitch the one that's not approved, because there was a stark difference. But you knew, because you were the one communicating with the village of Tinley Park.
Trust me, it was not deliberate. And, I swear to God, that's the whole thing. What happened was, it just, at that moment, the year has passed. And we literally went back to the, to look at the thing, to look at the covenant.
The design criteria, and we
Design
thought that we were
criteria.
meeting
I
it.
agree with you what you're
No,
saying.
the home, as Commissioner Stocklus pointed out, the homeowners association doesn't supersede the village ordinance and codes. So perhaps your homeowners association allowed renting places, right? But if the village didn't, you wouldn't be able to do that, right? You can't, it won't supersede, right? So unfortunately, it's not the perfect example, but that's what I'm giving you at that. So in this case, you can point to the homeowners association. Some of
But
those
we're
tend to be boilerplate, but needless to say, it doesn't supersede the fact that, like, you were the direct contact, sir. You were the one in the know, right?
But we,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, go,
Could I ask a quick question?
sure, Commissioner West.
Please.
You submitted the original submission with your plans. Those were rejected by the village. You updated the submission. Did the updated submission include any drive-it, stucco, anything like that?
Not really. Somehow, it was supposed to be after since this is almost 18 feet, it's supposed to be after 9 feet, it should be stucco. But in the case like this, what the architect did, instead of making that after the 9 feet, he put the whole brick in there. It's supposed to be after 9 feet. But that's what he did it so quick and put all the brick all around.
And that's what was submitted to the village
Yes.
for approval. And it was approved, and it was signed off on, and you received a copy of
Yes,
it.
yes.
And you
That it
didn't
had
question
no-
that.
That it had no stucco on it, the updated submission?
You know what? That was the complete mistake by the architect, that what he did, and I overlooked also. We submitted the thing, and it got
we were
approved.
just in so much of a rush to get the permit going, I think, because it was already summer and like there were people after us to get the excavation going because they were like, you need to get this going. Well, you already hired us and you don't have a permit right now. So it was like one thing after the other and it's,
Yeah, the point that I guess I'm trying to question is the updated submission that the village did approve didn't have any stucco on it.
no, it did not.
No.
So then, when stucco started being put up on the house,
We
did that
thought.
not throw any red flags for
No,
anybody? Like,
no, it did not. The reason was because we had a village professional come out there.
The inspector come out
The
there.
inspector come out there, and he saw the brick, and he saw the sill, and he did not say anything to us till the neighbor called in October.
Okay,
He came
okay.
in,
I'm
But
going to
the-
jump in here.
but the
that
building
does not
inspector's
absolve
not
you.
a-
That does not absolve you. I don't know if that person went out and had the old submitted plans, right? And
well,
said,
but
"Oh, we
also
got
they
this."
don't have
I-
a crystal ball.
Cor-
They don't know
correct.
what's gonna go on the rest of
So, you
the
know, if he made an honest mistake, that's one thing. If there was a deliberate mistake, that's another.
But they weren't
Same-
looking at a finished.
Same thing, Anna, trust me, this was not a deliberate mistake. It was a mistake, but it was not a deliberate
I don't know,
mistake.
I mean, I don't know how,
Misunderstanding.
if you say you're a general contractor and you've built other homes.
no,
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 I
no,
did
no.
not.
This
Okay,
is our
so
first
This is your
home.
first one, okay.
But I do rehab homes,
But-
yeah, so I do.
But fair enough.
I'm an architect.
I agree with
I'm an
Commissioner West.
appraiser.
I wouldn't, if you see the guy bringing stucco or whatnot, I'd be the guy going, get that out of here. This isn't approved. I mean, I have to work on
But
construction
we
jobs all
don't,
the
we don't
time.
know if it wasn't approved because like I said, the confusion was we were looking at our state homes guidelines too at the same time and we were looking at it saying, this is approved.
But
What
it
we
goes
should have done
back-
Is
we
bought
should
these-
resubmitted the plan.
It
We
goes
should've-
back to the plans that you were submitted and were approved, those were in your hands. And they didn't include stucco, so if stucco showed up, that's, as Commissioner West says, that's a red flag, it's a big red flag.
Well, that's the reason, sir, we are here.
Yeah.
The reason we are here is for that variance.
For the not deliberate
Not,
mistake.
not the deliberate mistake. That's why, what we are requesting, because you guys already did, I mean, it's not like I said, this is not gonna be the only home in Tinley Park that's gonna have 4 feet of brick.
And we have people, neighbors, these are all our neighbors over here,
Mm-hmm.
who can attest it on that also, that the home that has been built is a completely different home than what's in the
And-
subdivision right
And
now.
that's the point, and it's also a different home than what was approved. So that's the whole point. As much as it's, you know, aesthetically looks well, that's not the issue here. So when you say it's completely different, that's why you're here. If it, like, which one of these things is not like the other, well, that's where the drive-it sticks out, you know? I mean, so,
Drive it
Well,
isn't-
it's gonna stick out no matter
See,
what, because this is the only home that's a ranch home in the whole
Drive-
It doesn't
subdivision.
matter. Tinley
I
Park
agree.
has building codes.
Yes.
Okay? Just because you build something different doesn't absolve you of following Tinley Park building codes. What you submitted was rejected. You
And-
had to resubmit it, showing the first story was all clad in brick. You totally deviated from what was approved by the village.
Well, that's why we're here for your
Well,
variance.
How did it happen? You
Well-
had the building plans
It
that
was
were
almost a
approved.
year past, it was almost a year
It-
past.
That
We-
doesn't absolve you of not following the building plan.
Absolutely, sir.
What, yeah.
You are 100% right.
Let's move forward.
Yeah, we're gonna move forward. I do want to get other commissioners' comments. So Commissioner Merrick?
I guess I have two things to say. One is, I want to note, of course, we're just a recommending body and we'll recommend. And the second one is that we're required by law to actually apply what the code is. And so when people get variances and those sorts of things, there has to be like specific types of reasons for those. So we're, I mean, I think our hands are tied in this sort of case.
Yeah, and I also, oh, sorry, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And I hope it's not inappropriate for me to say, I think it's lovely, personally, me sitting here. But again, as sitting in the chair I'm sitting in with the little name thing, if there's a compelling reason for somebody to request a variance, then we take that into consideration and grant it. So you're saying there are other homes in Tinley that, you know, maybe don't meet the same code. We don't know when they were built. We don't know if they requested variances. We don't know if, when it was built relative to what the code said at the time. So I do understand what you're saying. It may not be as relevant as what is you're hoping. So I just kind of wanted to
Right.
clarify some of those bright lines.
And just to further embellish, as Commissioner Merrick had mentioned, and Commissioner West, like if there's different circumstances for each lot. Sometimes we have these really unique, oddly shaped lots that are very rare within the city limits that kind of go against convention, or different hardships. The hardship that was listed was that the construction had already been completed, therefore taking it down would be a hardship. But you guys built it to the unapproved plans. So the hardship that you list was the one you created. So this isn't like a legitimate hardship that we typically will see, as Commissioner West said. There's, we haven't seen all of them. We see specific ones that come in front of us, and we take it by case, sir. So,
You know, the product that is used in.
It's not even stucco, it's
not-
a
It's not a
masonry.
regular driveway
Driveway.
anymore. It's a masonry product. It's almost quarter of an inch thick. It's applied the same way as masonry. So-
when you told them this in April, and they said, redo it, then you should
This-
stop right there.
This
There's no
product
more
was not even
discussion.
discussed in April of
This product
2022.
was not
We were
even
probably not even going to do it, probably. This product was only discovered by us, like, when we went to a show, and they told us it's a masonry-type product, and that's why
It's
we...
called Terra Neo, the product called Terra
But the
Neo.
thing
a
is, if
brand
you
new
have
product
approved
that came.
plans, you can't deviate with some new product that you see at a
But
seminar.
it is a masonry product. It is not a.
It does not look
siding.
like a stucco at all.
It's not a stucco.
Understood, but it's, as Commissioner West pointed out, like, it's not on this revised drawing that was stamped in July 2022 with the approval from the village, and it wasn't the plan that was built. So I'm not condemning the product or whatnot, I'm just saying you had stamped plans, you're the general contractor, you signed a affidavit acknowledging that, and so those plans are the ones that you're contractually obligated to build. With that said, Commissioner Hamilton, do you have any comments?
Yes, just to understand the reasoning here, I'm looking at the original submission, it does say drive it for above the
Yes,
brick. So it looks like that was part of the original submission
plan.
that was rejected.
yes,
And if I understand your reasoning, the first plans were rejected. You had the second plans drawn up that did meet, that were approved, that were fully brick. And then you found this page in the homeowner association that
Yes.
said, hey, maybe there's an alternative here. So rather than going back to the village, you just
yeah,
said,
100%.
that's,
You got it.
we're gonna,
absolutely, sir.
yeah.
That
So
was,
your understanding was that the HOA covenants superseded
Yes.
village?
That's.
Law?
That was.
Because we read that and it was done in 99, I think they said that it was approved. So we were thinking, we went to the HOA president and he brought us this and it was just like I said, it was like a big
The
misunderstanding.
HOA president didn't clarify that the CNRs that run with your property are subsidiary to village. The HOA president didn't clarify that village zoning code still wins.
No.
Well, you know what? It's not like he did not clarify.
He doesn't probably know if the village presidents,
Got
because
it.
like I
Too
said,
many
there
knows.
is,
Yeah, they should.
because there are, like I said, there are several other homes that have the stucco finish in our subdivision. This is not the only home that has,
Yeah.
there are several other homes. And that's the reason we're here, is for you guys to help us out. Because there was a home that was just built in 2023, in April it was finished, and they requested the same thing from you guys.
Before they built it.
Before
Correct.
they built.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. That's was our unintentional mistake was, yes. And like I said, it wasn't like we were deliberately wanting to come here and harass you guys or do anything like that. It has nothing to do with it. This is literally a retirement home. We're 60-some years old
I
and
mean, but if you take a look at it, the rules have been written back in
1978.
78. You know, and I agree.
But here's the thing. You can argue and you bring all these different suppositions. But the truth is, you talk to the village with the original
Yes.
plan that was rejected but still built somehow. And they rejected it. What didn't stick? Because I know it's a long process to go through. So you switched plans, that's fine. They stamped it, they agreed. And so all this other stuff doesn't matter. Whether you grabbed the wrong plans and thought this was, or had amnesia and thought
No, no,
this
no,
is
no.
the right plan, because either way, if you built this without ever submitting something and then we're asking for forgiveness, that'd be one thing. But they told you no. And then you gave them something that met the code and they said yes. And you signed it saying yes. You, as the contractor, you signed the affidavit, say this is what you're gonna build. And then all of a sudden, you go back to the original. So it's just a bad look overall. And so, whether
And you know what?
unintentional
Let me
or not.
let me tell you what we were thinking it's a ranch home. When we kept looking at the village requirement, we were thinking it's the first floor. You guys kept saying first floor, and we divided the first and second floor all together, and we said, okay, if it's 8 feet, then we can go with 4 feet because we just have a ranch home. And all the other homes it said the second level.
Did you call somebody ever to ask?
No.
Did you get new plans signed that said you're good? Okay, and as Commissioner Merrick had pointed out, even if we think, as Commissioner West says, it looks pretty good, even though I could tell you're a good neighbor because your neighbors came out to support, that's good. You're the pastor of the, president of the board, homeowners board signed a letter for you. So you obviously have good neighbors. We're not here to bring that up, but we are hamstrung by the ordinance and the code on this. So in terms of the variation, unfortunately, I can't get past the fact that you submitted something, it was rejected. You then, a couple months later, submitted something else. It was accepted, yet the rejected one was built, and all these other reasons come up. And if somebody tells me and I stamped it and I signed the affidavit, this is what I need to build, I would make sure I do everything to the nose. And you did, but it was on the old plan. So I'm
We
just,
literally follow everything is followed.
Every permit, every.
Plumbing, electrical,
except
framing.
except the major plan, like it was, if this was a project in school, you wouldn't get a passing grade. I'm just saying. But with that said, does anyone from the commission have any other
I have
comments?
one kind of follow-on question for Jason, actually. The finding of fact, item 3, says this will be the only structure which has stucco as the main material on the first floor, exterior walls. There's been a couple of statements tonight that said that there are other buildings in the neighborhood that have stucco.
You-
Is that,
So,
what's the fact here?
So for the most part, They brought some pictures of some other structures that had stucco on them. A couple were accents on the second story, which, again, the first story has to be 100% brick. The others, some were some stucco around a bay window or on the side of a window. Those are questionable. I mean, those you can be considered, you put wood trim around your windows or you put shutters up. Yeah, technically the exterior material, that's not brick either. Neither, your windows aren't made of brick, your walls aren't made of brick. There are some areas around some windows that they showed. That one building when you turn in that's all stucco, that was, I believe, a sales office from long ago that's now a storage. Obviously, if the HOA people are here, they may be able to shed light on that. That building does exist. I personally don't know when it was built. Obviously, it was probably the 90s or something like that. So if something like that does exist, but overall, we've had these masonry codes for a long time, and other places have gone through it. Obviously, just like anything else, if something came through without a building permit or was built without our knowledge, we don't know that. And at this point, it's been so long, I don't know if going back for that storage unit is worth our time and access.
But have you seen those pictures of those 3 or 4 homes
I
that I've
added them
given?
in the packet for everyone, yeah.
They're not just wraparound, they're like full stucco, from top to the bottom.
Yeah, but, the whole thing was from the bottom of my heart. It was not a deliberate mistake. It was a confusion, yes, absolutely. I looked at the thing, I should have resubmitted the plan again. That was the part. This is my first home that I'm building right now.
And you have to understand, 15 months passed by, so it was like, we weren't trying to do anything deliberate.
And nobody's trying to imply that there was ill intent or nefarious hopes in your heart. But we have a black and white situation here where there's a written code,
But
the
the code,
approved plans, sorry.
but the code, I understand there's a written code, 100% I understand. But there are homes that have deviated from the codes.
We're not
I know,
talking about-
before
We're not
the-
talking about those homes, miss, we're talking about your specific home. We weren't the board that approved those, to my knowledge. As Jason said, that some of these were, there was some building in the 90s. So the thing is, to claim you didn't know is one thing, but the problem is you had plans that exactly match what was built, that were rejected, that were communicated that it doesn't comply with the code. And you came back with corrected plans. So anything that you come up with is always gonna come back to that. Whether your neighbor down the road has a little bit of stucco or something else, we're not talking about their property. You guys, signed a affidavit saying that as the general contract for the site, this was the stamp plans you were gonna build. And so those weren't the stamp plans you were gonna build. So that's the essence of it, whether somebody down the road or somebody in another subdivision has something else.
This was our
I don't know
first
the
home.
extenuant.
This was my first general contractor home.
If you did this and never submitted plans and then came, then I would probably have a little bit more,
Oh, then, yeah.
but here, they told you no. And so curiosity and asking questions, like if I don't know, and this is gonna be my dream home, I'd make sure that I was towing the line. And unfortunately, it didn't come out that way. The approved plans were never built. And so with that said, I don't have anything more to add. If people in the commission do, that's fine. You could, if you don't have anything else to add, I will ask if.
But,
Yeah,
do you wanna? Do you know?
Yeah, so if anybody else, please approach. I'll say your name, ma'am, and I'll swear you in.
My name is Carol Lewis. I live at 6 Messina Court.
Okay. Carol, do you swear or affirm that the evidence you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, please proceed.
I've been living there at 6 Messina Court for 30 years, since 1993. I have built 8 homes in the Odyssey. And 3 of them do have a stucco. Now, he has drive it, which Drive It is a concrete. It's not a stucco. And if you, it would have to be chiseled off with a chisel other than what stucco is. I think it's a beautiful home. I lived there for 30 years. Since 1993, I built my home there. It's 11,500 square feet house.
Wow.
And there was no one to build in that cul-de-sac where I was at until he started building that house, and people saw it. Now I have one on the side of me. I heard there's another lot that's being built, gonna be built within there, I don't know when. But it's a beautiful home. I can understand what you're saying about he submitted the plans and then went somewhere else, went with something else. But the Drive It is a concrete, it's not like stucco at all. And I'm quite sure if you would see that, and like I said, I have bought 8 houses. I built 8 houses in Odyssey. I have a neighbor right here now. He loves his house. I built his. 39 I built. I mean, and it had stucco all the way down the front. So I'm just saying, you know, I don't know if you was here in 1993 or whatever, or if it was somebody different or whatever, but I think that, you know, it should, when the Halikis, I bought it from the Halikis, the land. I bought 8 lots. And I built all lots and I sold every house.
Nice. And I'm going to just ask Carol, because that's impressive, that's awesome. But when you built those, I'm sure you kept it to whatever plans were stated.
Well, I
Contract.
did have a contractor. I mean, his name is Stephen Amu. I did have a guy that knew what he was doing. But at the time, what I'm saying, the rules since 1973 or whatever, it's a little bit old-fashioned. Can we just, this is a modern age, this is 21st century. I think, you know, we should step it up just a little bit, you know. People are looking for something different, you know. This is what I'm saying. I mean, you guys, I'm not trying to say that you're old-fashioned or whatever, but, you know, sometimes we do get stuck in. I'm 75 years old, so I'm just saying, you know, it would be nice. But they're very good people. I think the house is absolutely, and then you saw it, you said the same thing, it's beautiful. And I think if you would come and touch this, Drive It, you would see that it doesn't look like stuff.
That's not necessarily what's on discussion, whether it's good
Yeah, I
or
know,
bad or
it's
ugly.
what
Like,
they did wrong,
Sure,
right.
I'm sure it's
Yeah,
great,
Yeah,
but-
okay, so I just wanted to put that in, so.
Okay, Carol, well, I appreciate your testimony.
Okay.
Yeah, you're a good neighbor,
Thank you.
100%. Yes, sir?
Hi, I'm a new arrival. My name is Damon Arnold.
David?
Damon.
Damon, okay, Damon Arnold? Okay,
Yes.
Damon. If you could write your name too, I'll
Oh,
swear
sure.
you in too.
Oh, this pen is,
Oh,
actually,
Jason, can you give him a working
well,
pen?
I have one. I have a new, I have my own. Thank you. Okay, great.
Okay, Damon,
Yes.
do you swear or affirm that the evidence you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes. Mhm.
Please proceed.
Okay. Yeah, I live at 2 Delphi Court and saw the, construction of the home that is under question right now. And I understand your position about, the use of, the line that you're following right now is if you have a plan, that you have to follow the plan, pretty much through detail. And if you have a new submission of a new plan, then that alters the plan that you're looking at. And I'm wondering, whether, because I'm looking at the original plan, and in comparison to the updated submission that was approved, it went from using almost like a stucco material to all brick. And I'm wondering if anyone caught that, why, it would be approved when you're having someone saying, I want to build one thing, and then all of a sudden, it's completely different. It's a whole new structure. And why it wasn't caught or someone didn't question it, you know, when they were actually reviewing the plan.
It was caught the first time. The first plans were rejected because. it
Oh,
didn't-
I'm saying the first plan was rejected.
And the second one fulfilled the requirements of the village code of
Right.
having the first story being all masonry.
Right, but I would at least ask the person who's building the structure, you know, why is this gonna be all brick now? Wouldn't you? I mean, I would.
Because when the first plans were rejected, I believe they were told that it has to be, the first story has to be all masonry.
Has to be all masonry?
Yes, all brick
Or stone.
or
All
stone.
from the first story all the way up?
Yes.
The requirement in our zoning code for architectural standards for single-family detached homes, the first floor, from the base of the structure to the top of the first floor must be of all face brick or decorative stone.
Or decorative stone? And so decorative stone, what does that mean?
Other types of stones and masonry products of like,
Renaissance stone, you
limestone,
can use a cultured
sandstone.
stone. Our masonry requirement could be of two types. It could be an anchored brick masonry, which is a minimum 2 5/8 thickness.
Okay.
That's anchored back to the wood frame, steel frame backup,
Right.
or masonry, CMU. Or you could go to an adhered. Adhered is allowed both in the IRC, IBC, and our village code, but it's a masonry that's actually modular, but it's thin brick, and it has to be adhered to an approved substrate.
Okay, and then, so the dry it wouldn't fit that? Dry
No,
it
it would not.
concrete? Okay, so I was wondering, like, you know, you have new modern building materials, and the code goes back to 1978, I think you said?
the original zoning code was adopted then.
So does it address
Whenever
any
this
new
was amended
materials,
To add the
or-
brick, it was a very long time ago. I don't know if it's specifically 1978.
Okay, but there's nothing, it hasn't been updated since 1978 to include new materials that are coming out in the market?
Well, Damon, you make a good point. Once in a while, we will revisit some of these standards, and the plan staff will have workshops. So,
Right.
you know, down the line, to have a future workshop, I'm not opposed to that if, you know, if, but in this case, unfortunately, the
Right.
cart came before the horse, you
Yes.
know.
Yeah, and I'm understanding your
But
position.
I think that's
Yeah.
a reasonable, you make a reasonable point. I do agree with you on that. So that may be something we revisit, because I know in terms of the varying degree of materials that have been used, and I'd say post-COVID because of supply chain issues.
Correct.
We've seen it on, as a civil engineer, I've seen it on different jobs that I work on. But in terms of, you know, something, again, it's just, if we were talking about this 2 years ago, then perhaps the petitioners would be in a better situation. But,
Right.
but you do make, I think, you know, a fair point.
Yeah, and then, you know, and one of the things is that lots 39, 41, and 43 on Odyssey Drive were granted variances years ago, and they all have brick combo with concrete.
Yeah, and, you know, again, I wasn't
So
part of
I-
the staff back then.
Right.
I don't know what the extenuating situation was there.
Right.
But if that was salient information, that could have been brought up and maybe been in a discussion in real time
Right.
when they first were negotiating the plans. They came up with this submittal. Why didn't they bring these pictures and say, can we get a little bit here and there? But instead, the second plan that was 100% approved, so nobody forced the hand of the petitioner to submit this and then sign an affidavit to say, okay, this is, right, it was stamped.
Yeah,
So
I-
once that's done, you know,
Yeah, because what I'm really just trying to get to is that, you know, it's a beautiful home.
yeah,
All the people in the area really like the structure and feel that it's really upgrading our living residence. But maybe, I'm just looking for a path forward. You know, how can you rectify this? Maybe going back through the document that was written and seeing if there's a way of, you know, developing a variance, you know, for him. Because I think it's, you know, and there was a misunderstanding, you know, you can go back and forth. I've never built a house, so thank God. Moved from one to another, that's enough for me. But, you know, maybe there's a way forward for them, you know, to get past this, to sit down and to look at, you know, what was actually done. And is there a possibility for a variance? You know, since similar variances were granted in the area, whether there's a way of getting there.
understood. Well, I appreciate your comments, Damon. As Commissioner Merrick said, we are a recommending body, so to the village board. So we won't ultimately make that decision. We'll just make a recommendation
Right.
to the village board. So,
understand.
but I think you make some fair points. And again, you know, I think the petitioner has some really good neighbors that came out in support. So I do appreciate your comments.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
I'd like to make a quick comment, because it is a good point, that it is an old code, it's been patched over time for modern times,
Yeah.
and things like that.
It gets adjusted.
Working on the comprehensive plan right now. The comprehensive plan is gonna give us new goals and visions, and we'll be reaching out to the community to get input on that. And once that's adopted, hopefully in the next 18 months or so, we've already started talking about updating the zoning ordinance, so it will match some of those goals and objectives. And if it's community-wide wants to change the architectural standards and things like that, we're gonna take that input in and we're gonna adopt it and do those things. So, doesn't really help us right now, but it was
Right.
noted, and community development is working on a
Right.
long-term plan for these kinds of things.
That's good. Like you said, unfortunately, the timing is down the line, but I think Damon made some salient points about revisiting that, so. Any other members of the public wishing to speak? Any further comments from the commissioners? Okay, if there's no further,
Chairman, I think I have one last thing to say, which is that when the original plan was rejected, the petitioners could have asked the board to come in front of our committee, the planning committee, to ask for a variation at that stage, or negotiated something with the village around limiting the amount of things that were non-compliant and those sorts of things, as they look for the standards of deviation or standards for variation. Not any of them are met.
Yeah.
So as we walk through it, it's like, doesn't apply, doesn't apply, doesn't apply. So even if we wanted to vote in favor of recommending, if we look at the standards for variation, we're really not capable of doing so unless we neglect what we've sworn to do on this position. But the village board can decide to, we make a recommendation, they can decide to make changes, and if they vote in favor of that, I don't fully understand it, but then it becomes the law, right? That's approved for this particular place. So I think that's worth noting.
okay, good comments, Commissioner Merrick. If there's no further questions or discussion, may I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Or second.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner West, seconded by Commissioner Sepisi. All those in favor of closing the public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion is carried. I know the standards were mentioned, but they don't meet.
Yeah, so for the most part, we have mentioned standards a couple times. They're up there on your screen. We have, staff typically gives you recommendations for the standards. You may modify them as you please. We wrote these all in the negative, as staff also did not feel the hardship was created by the petitioner himself. There's no specific unique hardship from the property itself or some other outside condition. That's the same with the unique circumstances. The surrounding detached dwellings most of them all have brick or stone. There's a lot of other houses being built in the community that we've made stick to our masonry requirements over the past many, many years. So it's one of those situations where the character of the community still has a lot of those first-story brick things. So we wrote them in the negative. If you would like to change them, that is up to your purview to do so. Here are the rest of the standards. That's in your packet. I just want to clarify, the motion is it's in the affirmative. By making the motion, by reading it, you're not saying you approve. What you're saying is, this is what they want, and then you either say, yes, I agree with them, or no, I do not. So, just want to make that clear.
Okay, thank you, Jason, for those
Yeah,
clarifications.
Just one comment here.
Oh, yes.
And it's important that we also vote on it, right? To not make a motion at all would not give the village board a guidance for us.
Correct.
Correct, yes, correct. Okay. So with that said, at this point, can I entertain a motion regarding the variance for item 2?
I'll make a motion to recommend that the village board grant the petitioner Shahaban Faria Mekri a variation from section VC4B of the zoning ordinance to permit a single-family detached dwelling to not have exterior walls constructed of face brick and decorative stone to the uppermost portion of the first story, consistent with the January 4th, 2024 staff report, submitted plans, and adopt findings of fact as determined by this planning commission.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner West.
I'll second.
Okay, seconded by Commissioner Hamilton. Jason, can you take the roll call?
Commissioner Merrick,
No.
Commissioner Sepisi,
No.
Commissioner Stocklose,
No.
Commissioner West,
No.
Commissioner Hamilton,
Nope.
and Chairman Gray.
No. Okay, the motion is denied, but Mr. Mekri, this would go then in front of the village board January 16th, 2024. Again, we're just a recommending body. They ultimately will decide. And so I do think it was very good of your neighbors to come out and support. I think it shows a lot to your character and their character. So with that said, you can get with the staff on how to attend, and definitely attend, because that's the final chance. So good luck, sir, and that's it. Okay, we'll move on to the good of the order. Staff, do you have anything to present for the good of the order?
Let's see, not much. Hope everybody had a good holiday season. We kind of covered everything. The advocate sign was approved by village board, so that went through.
Do they need their pictures back? Miss?
Oh, those
Miss-
are part of the packet.
Oh, that's
Big
part of
ones.
the- No, no, the smaller
Little
ones.
ones, yes.
Miss, yeah, if you can give it to Miss Mekri. Mike, here you go, if you can at least stop them.
I wouldn't be upset if they said okay.
Yeah. I mean, but they
Okay,
can't-
so,
they can't, but-
one second, guys, settle down here.
And they'll read through the minutes, right? So we'll be updated by folks to know what the discussion was.
Yeah,
They may want to use it next time.
yeah, they want to probably bring those out. And then, Jason, I'm going to return these, so if they can be presented at the, yes, so that the board has the same information.
Yeah, so no other good of the order comments?
Okay. We'll move on to receiving comments from the public. So is there anyone from the public wishing to speak? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to adjourning the meeting. May I have a motion to close the meeting?
Motion to close the meeting.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion to close the plan meeting by Commissioner Hamilton, seconded by Commissioner West. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, the motion is carried. This meeting is adjourned at, I think, 7:57. Yeah.
8:04.
Oh, that clock's wrong.
That's slow.
8:04 PM Central Time. Okay, everybody, have a good night.
Sounds like, how's it 7:50?